Want to know the 7 biggest mistakes dog owners make? I'm going to give you those right now. For the past several years, since 2008, we at Crimson Canine Dog Training have been training thousands of dogs, and we've met even more dog owners with problems that usually come from the dog owners themselves. So I want to give you, after all these years, the 7 things that we see that jump out and cause a lot of problems. So the first thing is not crate training your dog. This can be a big deal because crate training helps with housebreaking, but it's even more important than that. It can help, it can be a powerful tool to help your dog understand what behaviors are acceptable inside the house and what behaviors are not acceptable inside of the house. Now, a lot of people don't like crate training, but it's just a temporary tool until your dog gets to a point that he or she can be trusted inside the house and around people and whatever situation that you have. So make sure that you're crate training your dog. Now, if your dog doesn't like to go in the crate, you can actually teach them to become comfortable in it. One of the things that we do is we feed and water our dogs inside the crate so that they come to realize that good things happen whenever they're inside their crate. The second thing is not being their dog's leader. This is the second mistake that people make. Sometimes we see that dogs act out because they don't get a sense of leadership from their owner. And so they start to think that they have to defend the place or they have to protect themselves because they don't entirely trust that their owners are going to. Their owners haven't made them feel confident and secure and safe. And so Tyler Muto, who is one of the top dog trainers in the country, writes, the best way to convince your dog that you are the leader is to make them feel safe. It's one of the reasons why we see aggressive or reactive dogs. So somebody comes inside your house and your dog is acting aggressively, lunging or barking or whatever. And part of the reason that it may be happening is that your dog doesn't feel safe. If that's the case, then you need to step up as the leader and show your dog that he or she doesn't have to act that way because you've got this. You've got it under control and you're going to keep them safe. Muto says, make your dog feel safe by agreeing with them and showing them that you know how to make the most efficient and effective decisions. And so he talks about how if you're walking your dog down the sidewalk and another dog is coming or a person is coming and your dog is feeling anxious or stressed or becoming reactive, then instead of just insisting that you heel your dog right past that person or that dog, whatever's creating the anxiety, instead of doing that, just turn around and go the opposite way or cross the street. You don't have to make your dog meet certain situations. So that's showing your dog that you are looking out for them. Number 3 is not understanding proper socialization. Your dog should meet a lot of things. Your dog should meet a lot of different kinds of things, whether it be cars that are backfiring or other dogs or cats or animals or people or slippery surfaces like a floor. You know, sometimes we see dogs that are fine on the carpet, but they get onto a wood floor and all of a sudden they freak out. So your dog needs to be meeting all kinds of situations, loud noises, anything that you think might set your dog off in the future. You need to introduce your dog. This is important to happen as a puppy, but if you didn't make it happen as a puppy, then at least start now. Number 4 is waiting too long to address unacceptable behaviors. Here's the thing. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And what we see is whether it's a behavioral issue like aggression or fear or anxiety, or whether it's bad manners like jumping on people or licking or getting on the furniture or whatever it is that you don't want your dog doing. The longer we allow our dogs to do those things, the harder it is to break them of it. So once you see the bad behaviors or the bad manners that you don't want part of your dog's life, make it stop. Find a way to get help with a professional dog trainer or figure it out on your own, but make it stop before it gets too bad. Because when people call us, it's usually at that point too bad, and then it's going to cost a lot of money to get it fixed. The next thing, number 5, is coddling or rewarding behavior you don't like. So speaking of aggression or fear, sometimes we come into homes and the dogs are really aggressive and they act like they want to eat us, or sometimes they're very anxious or they go hide. And so a lot of times what we see is are owners who, instead of correcting that behavior, the owners will coddle them, or they'll reward the behavior by saying something like, it's okay, it's okay. But what they're telling the dog is, it's okay to act the way you're acting. So don't do that. We want to instead make the dog know that whatever he or she is doing is not acceptable. And so we want to send a strong message that that behavior needs to stop. Number 6 is relying on positive only techniques. There's nothing wrong with using positive reinforcement. In fact, we encourage that. It's gonna make your dog more motivated to learn, more motivated to please you, more motivated to really excel in dog obedience. So use a lot of positive reinforcement. But sometimes a correction is necessary. Sometimes negative reinforcement needs to be part of the training. In fact, we believe that negative reinforcement should be as much of a part of a dog training session as positive reinforcement. The two combined are really, really powerful, positive and negative reinforcement. So what is negative reinforcement? If you think of when you get in your car and you don't fasten your seatbelt and the little bell starts chiming, it drives me crazy. And so what it does is that it annoys us to the point that we finally fasten our seatbelt, and as soon as we do, the bell goes away. And so your car, whether it's a Ford or a Honda or whatever it is, the fine people that created that car and built it and manufactured it have found a way to use negative reinforcement to train you to fasten your seatbelt. And so we need to use that as part of our training with our dogs as well. So don't be afraid to use corrections. Don't be afraid to use some negative reinforcement. Nothing wrong with positive reinforcement, but don't rely on that alone, because when it comes to positive reinforcement, there's no way to make your dog do what you want them to do. There's no way to make them stop doing what you don't want them to do. So there needs to be some negative reinforcement. There needs to be some correction as well. And number 7 is not claiming your personal space. Now, what does that mean? Because this seems silly. I want my dog next to me. I want them to feel free to come lie down next to me or get in my lap or whatever. And that's great. Of course, we want that to happen. But if we don't claim our personal space and allow it to be a situation where we invite them to come, then it can create problems. We sometimes see clients or individuals who the dog is actually like guarding the person because the person has allowed the dog to become in a place where they think they own the person. And so what we have to do is claim our personal space to send the dog a message that, yes, I want you to be next to me, but when I invite you, you don't get to just come and lay on me or lick me or whatever. Think of it this way. If you have a human friend that comes to your house, do you let them climb into your lap? Of course not. You don't do that. You make them be respectful. You don't let them just come and get right next to you anytime you want. You would freak out. You'd probably kick them out of your house if that happened. So do the same thing with your dog, because your dog needs to learn space and needs to learn boundaries, and that there are some things that he or she can't always get away with. Please take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's one of the ways that we help you help your dog, and we don't want you to miss out on anything.